Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your weekend, hope your Saturday is starting off. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show every Saturday on News Talk 830 WCCO, hosted by Scott Wolmering, myself, Ryan O'Neill, with the Minnesota Real Estate Team, Remax Advantage Plus, Mike Overson, Illuminate Home Loans. We are here the entire show for your questions, comments, thoughts. This is an interactive show. Any questions you have, comments, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. Hope your weekend's starting off well. We've had a lot of rain. Mike, good morning to you, bud. Great to have you as always.
Good morning to you as well, Ryan.
Lots to talk about today.
We always got lots to talk about in this industry, so we'll definitely cover some current events. We'll cover some interest rates. We'll cover a bunch of stuff here once the show starts.
Yeah, and again, 612-294-6949. Any questions you have, please don't ever hesitate to share those comments. mnrealestateshow.com is where you can go to see all of our great partners that are with us on the show, from home inspectors to stagers to home warranties, everything from A to Z. These are folks that our team, the Minnesota Real Estate Team, has worked with over the years. Please don't ever hesitate to reach out. Wonderful folks, great folks. And, Mike, from a mortgage standpoint, we're going to dive in with an update, but high rates, higher rates.
I guess it depends on, what you compare it to. Are they higher compared to the 1980s?
Good point.
No, they're actually quite low compared to that time frame.
Yes.
Are they higher compared to 2020 and 2021? Well, yeah, pretty much rates at any point in time are going to be higher than those 2 years. So yeah, it depends on your frame of reference and what you compare it to.
Yeah, and again, good point. A lot of it's perspective. Talking to team members on the Minnesota Real Estate Team, is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? What are things like for buyers currently? What are things like for sellers? We're going to talk about some of that too, Mike, because again, I think there's some discussion, debate on whether it is a buyer's market, whether it is a seller's market. But again, we're on News Talk 830 WCCO every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're getting ready to go live on air. We stream the show the entire time. So again, as you think of anything, as you're watching us, don't hesitate to comment, but we appreciate you joining us and excited to go live on air. Here we go. Good morning. Welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your weekend is starting off well. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by Mr. Mike Overson of Illuminate Home Loans, Scott Wolmering, and myself, Ryan O'Neill of the Minnesota Real Estate Team, Remax Advantage Plus. We are live here every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on News Talk 830 WCCO for the Minnesota Real Estate Show. This is a local real estate show. We've been on the air in the Twin Cities over 15 years. And our team, the Minnesota Real Estate Team, is a group of real estate agents working all throughout Minnesota and Western Wisconsin. We help people buy homes, sell homes, invest in real estate. And this show is interactive. You can always join us by phone or text, 612-294-6949, 612-294-6949. Or, of course, you can always use the talk and text CCO line as well. Mike Overson, Illuminate Home Loans. Great to have you on as always, my friend.
Yeah, good to see you too, Ryan. Happy to be here.
Yeah, a lot going on, Mike, in the mortgage market, in the real estate market, and the first segment of the show, we always do like to dive in to talk about kind of a market update and what we're seeing. From a mortgage standpoint, we were just talking about, our rates high, and you have some good perspective to show on that.
Yeah, it's a lot about perspective, really.
Hey, we're losing your mic there. I think your mic. Yeah, let's try you there again, buddy.
There you go. Did we get it back on?
There we go. Now we got you.
All right. So if you look at interest rates, it is really about perspective, right? So if you talk to my stepdad, we call him the Yoda of real estate because he's been involved in some sort of real estate aspect for the last 40 years. He remembers he was actually an active licensed real estate agent back in the 80s when rates were 16-18%. So if you ask him if rates are high right now, he would look back and he would say, nah, they're actually probably pretty average right now. He wouldn't consider them high. For those people that just maybe bought their first house within the last few years, or started looking at buying in the last few years, and you got in when rates were at 2.75, which has never happened in history, yeah, you're probably going to say, yeah, rates are high right now. But if you look at the last 40 years, okay, let's look at the average 30-year fixed rate over the last 40 years. It's at 8.25 is that average. We're sitting closer to probably 7.75 right now, roughly, depending on credit score and other factors. So, we're just underneath the average over the last 40 years.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad time. It just depends on your perspective and I guess what you compare it to.
Yeah. So of course, during COVID, there were a lot of people that got into the real estate industry from a real estate agent standpoint, from a mortgage standpoint, title, home inspection, every aspect of the industry, Mike. And I think what we're seeing right now is some people exiting the industry because of course, from a transaction count, when we look at, sort of year to date in the Twin Cities. So again, if we're looking year to date in closed transactions, this is the Twin Cities metro area, we're down 21.3%. So there were almost 30,000 closed sales in the Twin Cities metro area year to date, but that's down 21%. So with 21% less deals, that is obviously that affects everyone in the real estate industry. And so what we're seeing now, which is not a surprise, is a lot of folks who maybe got into the industry again during COVID or were more part-time or hearing great things about the real estate world, they got into it and now are leaving the industry. From a mortgage standpoint, what are you seeing? What are you hearing from people, friends with different companies that are doing mortgages?
Yeah, it's the same thing across the board. So I mean, our industry is definitely a cycle, right? There's cycles seems like every 10 years. There's good markets where people get in, and there's more business than other years, and then there's markets where transactions are lower, and it's tough for the same amount of people to stay in there and make a living with less transactions out there. So we're seeing definitely loan officers leave the game. We're seeing companies across the board, cut staff, processors and underwriters and, loan closers, kind of across the board, basically right sizing the company because, with 20% less business, right, you got to make some tough decisions like that. So we'll see it. Well, we'll see it with title companies. We'll see it with real estate agents. We'll see it with loan officers. I mean, pretty much anyone across the board that's involved in real estate. You're going to see a little bit of weeding out of some of the people where they're going to leave the industry and go somewhere else. But it's the normal cycle. It's what we expected, and it's not a surprise by any means.
Yeah, before the first break here, we always like to do again a little update mortgage wise, real estate wise, and these are again year over year numbers. So new listings in the Twin Cities down 10%, 10% less new homes that came on the market this past week. Pending sales or accepted purchase agreements down slightly, 2% less accepted purchase agreements. And then the overall inventory is down 7.4%. So there are 8,732 homes for sale right now. And last of all, the median sales price for the month of August, year over year, it actually increased 2.7% to 380,000. And so, a lot of folks may be saying, I don't understand that. How can values still be increasing in many areas and price ranges and with a shortage of inventory? Again, you ask agents, as an agent, as a broker, every day I get 2, 3, 4 emails from our friends at all the different real estate brokerages, Coldwell Banker, Edina Realty, Keller Williams. They're sending over a note saying, hey, I've got 5 pre-approved buyers and I cannot find a home for them. There is nothing out there. And so when something pops up, then again, there's activity. Now, it has to be priced correctly. We'll talk maybe after the first break, Mike, about market time, overpricing, and just the discussion. A lot of agents are saying, "Is this a buyer's market or is it a seller's market?" And we are open to your feedback too. Again, you can always call us at any point, 612-294-6949, or text us. But Mike, there's a lot of discussion about that as well.
Well, if you have to ask that question, the answer is that it's becoming more balanced. So if you ask that same question in 2020 and 2021, is this a buyer's market or a seller's market? What would you say?
Oh my gosh, it was absolutely a seller's market.
Absolutely. Everyone would just say right out. I mean, they wouldn't even have to think about it. This is a seller's market. You're getting 20, 30, 40 grand over list price. I mean,
Yeah.
we've never seen a better seller's market ever. You ask that same question today and it's kind of like, I don't know, and that means it's becoming more balanced as far as buyers and sellers go. So, when you look at buying a house, there's really two costs to the house, right? There's the cost of the house itself. There's the cost of the financing to get it. Now, if you're a cash buyer, obviously one of the costs goes away. You don't have to pay interest, right, or get a loan in order to buy the house. But for the majority of people, you have the two costs. You got the cost of the house itself again, and you have the cost of the financing. So right now, the cost of the house really hasn't gone down. Real estate values are really supply and demand, as you pointed out, Ryan. Our supply is so low, and we always have a good demand in Minnesota because we have a lot of people moving here and relocating, because we have a lot of Fortune 500 companies stationed here, and so there's always a good demand here in the Minneapolis area. And so with the low supply, that's why we can have interest rates where they're at now, and our home values went up year after year.
Yeah, again, we're up against the first break here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Appreciate you joining us. Hope your weekend is going well. Again, this is a live show. We're local. We're in studio. We also stream it on all the social media channels as well, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Thanks for joining us this morning on, again, News Talk 830 WCCO. Thanks for joining us on social media. Mr. Mike in studio, Scott off here today. But again, buyer's market, seller's market. We just had a comment from someone saying it's an unpredictable market. It is kind of an unpredictable market, depending upon price range, area, style of the property, and how is the property priced. I mean, we're seeing days on market increase, but I think a lot of people are overpricing, Mike.
Yeah, you still get that. They hear, supply demand, our supply is still low. Even if you look back at the last 3 months, and you're comparing maybe your house and your listing price to homes, that maybe have sold or were listed within the last 90 days. You go back 90 days ago, it was actually kind of a little bit of a different market as a seller. You got to look more at the last 30 days and look at it and say, okay, similar homes, priced in our price range in our neighborhood, how long are they sitting at those prices? Because I imagine that the time on market for those homes listed within the last 30 days has been longer than homes that were listed 90 days ago.
We had a good comment come in just about all the rain that we've had, and how that has been helpful to buyers and potential sellers. Obviously, when there's a lot of rain, you find out, do we have basement issues? Do we have water issues? So as buyers, that's helpful, because you're able to see, in advance, hey, has anything happened from a water perspective? As sellers as well, you can correct matters. May not be happy getting water in the basement, but it's interesting when that happens. Like this last few days was so much water, a lot of calls of water in the basement, Mike.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's, home inspectors probably love it too, because it's a lot easier to see if there's issues with the home when you're doing a home inspection, and then, try to identify the reason why. Could be as simple as you got to just get, downspout extenders and get the water away from the house. It could be as simple as that. Could be, a bigger issue. Could be a grading. It could be something else. So, it's actually a great time. I mean, if you're a buyer out looking at homes, I mean, it's a great time to see if the homes you're looking at have any sort of exposure to water like that.
Yeah, we, a lot of times people have reached out and kind of said, hey guys, what's your crystal ball, or what are you thinking moving forward? And, again, just in my 20 years of doing the business, I have seen a number of different markets. This to me is by no means the worst, especially kind of for any fellow agents watching, or brokers, mortgage professionals. It's hard. I mean, it's hard with 20% less business, but the reality of it is deals are still happening. And, I see it with our team. We have a number of agents still having very, very good years, but they are consistently showing up. They're making a strong effort. They're providing value to their consumers, to their buyers and sellers. They're blocking out the noise of all the negativity and the end of the world, end of the real estate market. And this is terrible. Mike, there's a lot of that going on out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, kind of the old rule, 80% of the business is done by 20% of the agents. I would say that probably holds true today. And it's the consistency. It's the blocking out the noise that you said. It's like, hey, my business is my business, right? And when I do these activities and I stay consistent with it, I thrive and business is good. And so we've both seen markets like this. You stay the course, and you'll be just fine.
Here we go. We're going live back on air on WCCO. Welcome back to the second part of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We hope your weekend is going well. Appreciate everyone joining us. 612-294-6949 by phone or text, or on social media as well. Had a nice comment. Steven says, thanks to Mike Wierig and Mike Overson, we closed on our home yesterday. It was a perfect time for us to buy and sell because of the equity we gained over the past 7 years. Stephen David said, Olson, thank you, Stephen. Thank you so much for working with us. Mike is a great guy. Mike, no surprise, you did a great job.
Yeah, Stephen, and Ron were great to work with. If every one of our buyers was as organized as them with getting us stuff, life would be a lot easier. So thank you for the shout out there, Stephen and Ron, and thanks for trusting us with your home purchase.
Yeah, I want to give a nice shout out to my friend Mark DePonte. Mark is a great agent broker with Keller Williams, joining us on social media here as well. I hope you have a great
Can gather their own. And if your house is overpriced by, and I'm curious to get your opinion on this too, Ryan, right? if you're overpriced by a little bit, you might be able to get a buyer to make an offer at what they think the house is worth, right? So maybe it's a little bit under list price, but maybe you're just listed just a little bit over what the true market value is, right? But how far over market value do you end up not getting any offers? Because a lot of sellers are going to be thinking, well, let's list it at this dollar amount. They can always offer less, but buyers don't, right? And so if you're kind of close to what the market will give for the house, you probably then get a buyer to make an offer, probably a little bit under list price, to think whatever they think the home is worth. But at what dollar amount over the true market value do you list your house at where you don't even get a buyer making an offer?
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember that most buyers, again, when they're out looking at homes, they're working with a top agent, and he or she is sending them listings, is helping them analyze pricing, is helping them look very closely at these properties. And so naturally, nobody wants to overpay for anything. Okay. And so when you're working with a top buyer's agent, he or she is really going to help you look at the comparable sales, similar style of home, similar above ground square footage, similar features as well. And so there is a science to it. Obviously, from a lending perspective, when you do an appraisal, that's what an appraiser does. Is an appraiser comes out and there's a science to determining value. Obviously, there's some intangibles, but generally speaking, there is a mathematical way that appraisers do their job. And so that's what a really good agent, he or she's going to help you do, is do that analysis, because again, when you reach for that, your really qualified buyers, the agents working with those buyers, are going to say, look, this thing is overpriced. And oftentimes they immediately move on to another listing. They don't want to come in with a lowball offer, that Minnesota nice. They don't want to insult you, oftentimes. And so it's overpricing is kind of the kiss of death.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I see it too. It's I even have a family member now. This is out in South Dakota, completely different market and stuff like that. But their agent was like, you know what? I think you need to list at 199. I think that's where you need to list this thing at. And they went in at 239. And it's been on the market for now 6-7 weeks with no offers and very limited showing. And so I had the discussion with him up front. I said, your agent's going to let you know if you want to get this thing sold, what you need to do, where you need to price it to get it sold. Like, you can list it wherever you want to, but if it sits more than a couple weeks at the price that you want to list it at, then you got to really lean back on your agent and take their advice, because they know the market. And so that exact same scenario, it's like, well, someone can just come in and offer less. They just don't, though, and it's tough for sellers to understand and take that feedback. It's like, well, why wouldn't they? I don't have the exact answer, but we all know from experience that they just don't. So pricing your home correctly is the number one factor.
Had a question come in, guys. With the rising rates, do you see any type of crash similar to what happened in the 2000s from a real estate standpoint? The big difference now is people actually have equity in their homes. A lot of people have a lot of equity. And so, with inflation, obviously, with a lot of the challenges of rising prices, if people are going to be forced to sell, that will help inventory. We'll see more inventory, but they're going to want to sell their property because now they're actually going to benefit from it. Back in the crash with short sales, with bank owned homes, there was nothing in it for the seller. So the reason everybody walked away from their house is because they didn't benefit in any way. So you have to remember that's a big difference right now. And again, for any young folks or any people that have been renting forever, think about being a first time home buyer. We've seen so many cases over the past number of years where you're starting to own something, you're building equity, you're building your net worth, you're helping your family, you're helping your kids, you're helping your grandkids. Real estate, even in this current market with rates having risen, is such a solid long-term slow and steady investment. And Mike's comment earlier was just a perfect example of, again, you get in the game, you buy something, you're paying for housing somewhere. Rent is expensive in the Twin Cities. Why not look at owning, Mike?
Well, I think I sent an email out or made a comment last week about, have you ever had a financial planner tell you that you shouldn't start a retirement account now? because the rate of return isn't high enough. Let's not start a retirement account now. Absolutely not. Every financial advisor is going to say the sooner you can start an account, the longer the amount of time you have for that account to build. So it doesn't matter what the returns are now. The matter is getting into the market, opening that account now, the sooner the better. Buying a house is the same way. Homes over time appreciate. Yeah, are there years where they have gone backwards? There are, but again, if you look at the last 40 years, I mean, maybe only a handful of years have homes actually depreciated in value. The 30 other some years in the market, they have gone up in value. And so, buying a house in today's world is still a great play, because even with our low inventory, I mean, if you look at what homes have appreciated over the last 12 months, they've gone up 2.7%.
Yeah, again, I want to give a nice shout out joining us as well, Patty Zuzek, my friend Patty, awesome broker with Fieldstone Family Homes. Know you guys do a lot of work with Fieldstone. Patty said, thanks for showing the value of working with a realtor. Great and timely discussion. Pete Trader, Pete, a longtime listener, says offering less is Minnesota nice. Some buyers don't want to insult the seller. So very true. Thanks for the comments. Again, whether it's through social media or joining us by phone or text at 612-294-6949. We always welcome your thoughts. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show on News Talk 830 WCCO. Thanks, everybody, for the great comments. We appreciate it. Sorry about the audio. I don't know why it does that. It's so weird. We've got one of these Yeti mics, and sometimes it turns off. But thanks for the heads up. Glad the audio is back. And again, if you have any particular topics you'd like us to comment on, again, please don't ever hesitate to share that as well. Mike, the reality of it, the higher rates is causing some uncertainty with people. Maybe talk about that a little bit, because I mean, the higher rate, I'm hearing from some agents, buyers are just pausing.
Yeah, I mean, really comes down to monthly payment and what's affordable. Some buyers are going to just hold off just because they're just, they just hear the media and it's probably a lot of negative out there as far as interest rates hit a 20-year high, and they see headlines like that. And that's just going to make some people hold off. They won't even look into it just because it's like, oh, well, if rates are at a 20-year high, that makes no sense to buy right now. They just discount it from the get-go. But that's not necessarily the case. You ask any real estate agent, what market would you rather buy a house in? The market we were in for 2020 and 2021 during the COVID years, or would you rather buy now? And, to my point earlier, there's two costs to buying a house. There's the cost of the house itself, and there's the cost of the financing to get it.
Sure.
Well, in 2021, the cost of the house itself was so much higher than today, right? Because you were having to offer 20, 30, 40 over list price, grand over list price to get it. But the interest rates are super low, right? Well, now it's kind of shifted. Okay, the interest rates are higher, but now you don't have to offer 20, 30, 40 grand over list price to get the house. You could probably maybe even offer under list price and get the house now. So
question for Mike about, are you doing a lot of 3-2-1 buy downs with buyers? Maybe explain what that is, and are you doing much of that? Thoughts?
Are we doing a lot of them? No. Are we doing some? Yeah. From what we can tell, and with our experience over the last 12 months, when the 3-2-1 buy downs or the temporary buy downs really came back and made a resurgence back into the market, lots of talks about it, right? Lots of explaining about it, but are there a lot of people closing on them? There's a lot of people not choosing to close on them. So basically what a 3-2-1 buy down is that if you get a seller that's willing to pay some of your closing costs, one of the things they can pay for is for you to have an interest rate that's 3% lower for your first year, 2% lower for your second year, 1% lower for your third year, right? And so then you'd have a graduated payment that starts low that first year, goes up a little bit the second year, goes up a little bit the third year, and then it gets to your final payment from years 4 through 30. So that's how it works. So there's been a lot of talks and discussions, because that's been one of the things that has come out of this is a way to combat where interest rates are at. But a lot of people aren't necessarily going with them and closing with them. They're getting the information and they're trying to absorb it. But a lot of people are either doing a permanent buy down maybe with it, or, they're using that money for some other play.
Yeah, again, some nice comments. Thanks. Sometimes we can see your name on the restream. Sometimes we can't. So if I don't call out your name, it's not purposeful. But Just seeing Jennifer Tischletter said it's an unpredictable market. Ashley met with Standard Water Control. Good morning. Good morning as well. And Bill Ebert, good morning. Good morning to you as well. Thank you guys for joining us. We're going back live here in 30 seconds. We'll talk a little bit more about buyers versus sellers market. We've got some listings to feature on as well. Mike, Mike, Mike looks good on camera, doesn't he? I look like
What kind of filter you got?
I know.
Yeah,
I need something.
You got a good enough filter?
Can you guys help me with something here? Some filter. Maybe that's a discussion point. I need something. Here we go. We're going back live on air. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. I hope your weekend is going well. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show on News Talk 830 WCCO, Saturday mornings, 10 to 11. Welcome your questions, comments, thoughts, 612-294-6949. This type of market, definitely, Mike, is we're seeing a stronger desire to work with a top real estate agent. And again, when there is some uncertainty in the market, I think customers, consumers look for someone to help them through the process, to help them understand the market, to help them understand pricing. And again, from a seller standpoint, be sure you're working with a company, firm, agent that's going to bring some pizzazz from a marketing perspective, doing some social media love. A lot of buyers now, they're on Instagram. They're on Facebook. They're on social media. They're on TikTok. There's a lot of different ways, a lot of different marketing things a top agent can do. Obviously, that we do as well. Someone just commented on our social media stream, Ryan, that Ryan, you should hit the gym with Mike.
Yeah, I'm going later today, Ryan. You should come. When you open?
Yes.
Perfect.
Mike, I think Mike keeps our listenership on social media very high. When they just look at me, it's kind of a quick on and off. But Mike, it is interesting with this market as we move forward. Do we have a crystal ball? Do you have a crystal ball? Again, there's a lot of distress. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of people heading for the exits. But as we talked about, this is a market that, again, there's a lot of benefits for both buyers and sellers. There's a lot of benefits for really good agents that are showing up with a positive attitude, making a great effort, focusing on customer service, doing their best for people. Life, no job is easy. You think about real estate. I mean, the one thing about being a real estate agent, sometimes we think that, hey, it should be easy. No job is easy. I look at, my dear sister Mary does daycare 10 hours a day. She busts her tush doing that. My mom, my dear mother, my brother Tom, lifelong teachers. I know how hard they work. So from a real estate perspective, when it gets a little harder, we just have to dig in. We got to focus on our customers and do our best.
Yeah, we talked about pricing as a seller. Pricing is typically the number one thing. Number two is are you working with an agent that exposes your property to the market? The more eyes that see your property, obviously the better chance you have to get multiple offers, get an offer, get a higher offer. And so having a good written marketing plan and exposing your property to the masses out there it's a skill. It's a skill that some agents have, some companies are very, very good with. They have a written plan, and some not so much. And so like to your point, is that agent, are they showing up? Are they consistent? Do they have a written marketing plan to expose your property to get the highest, price for it?
Yeah. Again, sometimes you'll see the online ads, Mike, with the low interest rates. And I think people forget sometimes that there's fine print with everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And the interest rate game, especially online, you go online, the interest rate game is just kind of funny to me because no one out there has magical interest rates, right? Especially with today's world of technology and all that stuff. I mean, lenders really are not that far off from interest rates from each other because it's just too easy to shop and compare. You can go online and you can get interest rate quotes, from 10 different places within 20 minutes, so it's like there is no magical, like I said, no magical rates out there. One bank is not going to be like, oh yeah, we're that much lower than the rest of them, because it's just not the way of the world is. So if there is an outlier out there, right? Someone's advertising some rate that's just crazy lower than everyone else. Of course, there's going to be fine print.
It's what's crazy about it. So with my role with the Minnesota real estate team, I'm working a lot with our agents, helping them on transactions that are closing, but working with buyers and sellers. And one thing I found with common with the mortgage industry is, as a consumer, you and your agent should be able to reach that person by telephone very easily. Do they pick up their phone? Do they respond back to you? We have a couple files in process where working with some outside lenders, where I've tried to get a hold of some of the loan officers, and again, they're not replying. And my hunch is they don't have good news. But as agents, as customers, what you want is, you want the full story. Give us the news, even if it's bad news. Rip the band-aid off instead of not returning phone calls. And I think as customers, you have to remember that not all mortgage people are created equal. Part of the reason we've worked so long with Mike and his team is because he's focused on outstanding customer service. Super important, Mike, and I can't stress it enough. It's just hard for people to know that when they're buying a house. They don't think about that piece maybe as much.
Yeah. One thing I like to do, and I get this comment a lot from my buyers, is, especially if it's their second home or third home that they've bought, and whatever the case may be. The comment, I always do like either an in-person meeting or a screen share meeting where I share my screen with them and go through the numbers. Because I can tell you what, I can make you go cross-eyed by trying to talk mortgage numbers over the phone where you can't see them live and follow me along on the screen. And so that's why I like to do either in-person meetings or screen share meetings where I can share my screen with you and show you those numbers, and I show you how these things work. And the comment I get at least a couple times a week is like, we've never had anyone show us that before. This is our third house we bought, the third time we're going through the loan process, and we've never had anyone show us that before. She's like, it's so much easier to follow along. And so so it's just those little things that we try to do to really help our customers understand the numbers and things like that. And it's easy to follow along if you can see it. And so that's why I love doing them. And so that's, a common feedback that we get with my team.
Yeah, again, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us during the show or during the week. Our team, the Minnesota Real Estate Team, we help people buy homes, sell homes, invest in real estate. Wherever you're hearing the show on WCCO, we've got a top agent on the team that would be honored to work with you. Before the break, I did want to touch on a couple listings that we've got. Mike Brian Amundson, awesome agent on our team, has one listed in Somerset, Wisconsin, 964 218 Avenue in Somerset for $535,000. It's a 2020 built hilltop home. It's on a 3-acre retreat. It's near Apple Lake. It's got an open floor plan, top of the line kitchen, 3 bedrooms, plus a flex room for a potential 4th bedroom. Great patio, and just an overall ideal location. Just minutes to shopping, kayaking, boating, and more. Be sure to check that one out online. The pictures are awesome. Miss Sally Gill, awesome agent, has one in Lakeville for $350,000, 20555 Iceland Avenue. It is a 1-story, 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage home. Has an oversized 2-car detached heated garage workshop as well. Many upgrades in the home with newer windows, roof, and appliances. It's got a great location and neighborhood, walking distance to the downtown as well. And then the last one, Mr. Fong Kao, awesome agent on the Minnesota Real Estate Team, has one at 4837 Lakeland Avenue North, $510,000, built in 2018, 5-bed, 4-bath, open floor plan, got hardwood floors on the main, heated basement floor, a private backyard. 4837 Lakeland Avenue North for $510,000. Be sure to check that out. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show on News Talk 830 WCCO. Thanks for all the comments and questions coming in. It's been a fun show. It goes by so fast, Mike.
It does. Always. Every week.
So fast. Got to give a nice shout out. He's not in studio today, but Adam McIntyre Barn of Nordy Photography. Wonderful guy, awesome company. We've worked with Nordy as a partner, a photography partner for virtual tours, professional photography. Such an important piece, Mike, to that listing.
Yes.
Nordy, Adam's got it dialed in with his staffing, pricing, timelines. They're an awesome partner with our show. Super impressive guy. He's a fun guy from Ireland. Actually from Ireland, not just like me, who thinks I'm from Ireland, but just a super good dude. Adam
He's a great
McIntyre
guy.
Barn. He's a really good guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. As soon as you meet him, you instantly like him. He's just one of those people. He's so likable, Plus, he's dialed in. I mean, as far as organization and how they run their business over there, it's great. It's easy. It's consistent. It's timely, and then you get to work with someone you actually like think and feel is a great guy because as soon as you meet him, you instantly like the guy. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, Anna, we had a comment. Anna, she says, incredible place. Tell us where that is. You posted a picture too. Tell us where that picture, maybe a little details on that. We'll announce that one. It looks like a cool place. But topic today is, again, are we in a buyer's market? Are we in a seller's market? We've said, Jennifer Tischler said it's an unpredictable market. I think that's right. A lot of buyers on pause thinking, hey, what's going on here? Should we wait for rates? What do you think about that? That's a common thing. Waiting. A lot of agents are frustrated because so many of our clients are waiting.
I don't think it's a smart play to wait. Here's what's
But why though? Why?
Yeah, here's what's going to happen, right? So let's say that magical interest rate number is 5.5%. Okay, that's as soon as rates get down to that mid fives, then we're going to jump into the market. So that's what this buyer is thinking. How many other buyers are thinking that same thing, right? And so now what happens is we have limited inventory. Our inventory is not going to go crazy up. It's just not. I mean, I would even be surprised if we hit 10,000 listings, which is still extremely low for the Twin Cities. For example, back in 2008, we had 45,000 listings, right? Now we're lucky if we even get to 10,000 listings, right? So that's how low our inventory is. So inventory, I don't think is going to come back, right? So this inventory level stays where they're at now. Rates get to 5.5. All these other buyers now jump into the pool, right? So now what does that do?
Jump in the pool.
Right. The water's warm. The music's going. Everyone's jumping in the pool, having a great time.
Jump in the pool.
Well, now you have all this additional competition. So now instead of maybe making an offer today where you're not competing against any other buyers, now you're competing against 4, 5, 6 other buyers for that same house. Now you got to start going over list price to get the house because you got to outsmart that other buyer. What are they gonna offer? Well, we need to offer 1,000 more to get the house. And you get this whole game where now you're offering over list price to get it. So I don't think waiting is the play, to be honest with you. I think buying now before interest rates get to that point is the play to make. And then guess what? When rates do get there, you just refinance and grab that lower rate.
Yeah, it's hard. I think it's natural, the psychological effect of when there's fear, there's less action. When when in COVID, when there was fear of missing out because, oh my gosh, we got to buy real estate, everyone and their mothers jumping on the board when you could argue prices were rising and people were maybe overpaying for some stuff.
Right.
So it's just funny how our minds work sometimes with that. Here we go. We're going back live on air on WCCO. Hope your weekend's going well, everybody. Hey, welcome back to our final segment of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We hope your weekend's going well. We're grateful for our friend Dennis, comes in every week, produces the show for us. Heck of a good guy. Love working with him, Mike. He keeps us in line here in CCO at CCO.
Dennis is the epitome of consistency.
He is the epitome of consistency.
This is why I say that. So, my very first radio show was on WCCO back in April 2008.
Okay.
Right. And then we were on here for a few years, and then we were on a couple of different stations. Well, fast forward 15 years, we come back into the show, and guess who is still running the board?
Yes!
Guess who is still showing up every Saturday? Dennis. He's here.
We love it. We love it. We love him. Thank you to Dennis, and thanks to the listeners for joining us here. Last listing. This one, you got to hear this one too. People say this home is haunted. No joke. Okay. It was just, I saw as well. It was on the news. Jan Rolfe, agent with the Minnesota real estate team, Remax Advantage Plus, has one. Here's the address: 10035 Pokegama Lake Road. Now it's $120,000, and it can only be cash, Mike. $120,000 only cash, and she says it's an old sanatorium for sale. It's just under 13,000 square feet. There's approximately 12 rooms on each floor, 3 levels. It's priced low, she said, to accommodate the total rehab. It's a historic, solid brick building. Investors come with your ideas for renovation, open slate to design your multifamily senior living investment. It's in Pine City. It's got great lake views, surrounded by mature trees, lovely setting, eagles soaring, a boat landing just a couple blocks away. Great location. Again, it's centrally located between the metro and Duluth, just minutes off of 35. And to find out more about this, you can call the township as well. And again, she says locals say it's haunted. Seller was planning on a haunted Airbnb. Other projects are taking all the owner's time. So now it's for sale for someone else to do so. You see the
I
photos there,
was
Mike?
looking at it. Yeah, it's a great location, and it's literally when they say lake views, I mean you're basically right on the lake on this thing.
Yeah, super cool. Kind of a fun one. Again, Jan Rolfe, great agent with the Minnesota real estate team, Remax Advantage Plus. Really fun one. And another nice comment. Thanks, Kent. Good friend, Mr. Kent Olson. Awesome guy, great mortgage professional. Says good stuff, guys. I appreciate the content. How you're helping people understand what's happening in the market here today. It's important. Again, it's thank you, Kent, and thanks for the awesome work that you do. It's important. Again, have a trusted professional to help you through the process. I think again, what's happening now with the market, with a little bit of a reset, a little bit of a deep breath. Yes, a lot of the part-time people in the industry maybe are deciding, hey, my heart is not in the game, and I'm going to go back and do what I was doing before, and that's okay. I saw the same thing back in kind of the bank-owned short sale times when it was a little more challenging for agents. People just said, "Hey, do I really want to do this?" Well, of course, the people that wanted to do it stayed in the industry and continued helping people. And Mike, maybe you can comment on this. I think when we look at the crystal ball and kind of the fear that's out there, people forget they move for all kinds of different reasons. Some are unhappy, death, divorce, maybe relocation for work.
Growing
Um,
family.
but yeah, speaking of that, I just had somebody after church the other weekend came up to me. He knew I was in real estate. Just came up and said, "Hey, you know what? Are you Ryan? Hey Ryan, nice to chat with you. I know you're in real estate. We're having our fifth child. We need a new property." And they've talked to him for a bit. They've owned a place for a few years. They've built some equity over that time. They now have got some equity to move into the next place. So life happens. So all of the fear that's out there, I get it. It's an uncertain time, but I think it's a little irrational personally, because it's I don't know. Life's not easy. The real estate business is not easy, but for buyers and sellers, it's still a very good time.
It is. It is still a good time. And someone asked earlier, do you have a crystal ball and what's it telling you? I do have a crystal ball. I can tell you right now it's broken because it certainly has not predicted, accurately over the last 12 months where I thought we'd be at, and a lot of industry professionals, the same thing. Um, so, so as far as the crystal ball goes, I think things, and I'm talking more on the mortgage side of things with interest rates, right? I think we're going to hold here at this level for a little while. I mean, I think we're going to see rates where they're at pretty close to this anyways until maybe, quarter two, Q2 or Q3 of next year. Then I think rates will start to come down a little bit and we'll see a little bit relief on interest rates, but it's still not, they're still not at a point where people got to freak out. They're just not. It's different from, just a year and a half ago when we were coming out of the COVID rates, but COVID rates were something that we'll never ever see again either. So it's still a great time to buy. I still think that homes will appreciate in value over the next 12 months. So it's a good play there. And you can always grab that lower interest rate in the future when they go down.
Yeah, again, we appreciate you listening to us here at WCCO. Know that our team is here to help you through the process. Our approach is very low sales pitch. It's all about providing value and, most importantly, working with you at your pace. Don't let anyone try to sell you on when or why, you need to transact. When it's right for you and your family, you will know. We're here every Saturday to try to provide information to you to help you make good informed decisions. And we're grateful for you joining us. Mike, great job as always, my friend.
Yeah, good to see you, Ryan. Always happy to be here. And we definitely encourage people to reach out to us. Any questions throughout the week, you can reach us at mnrealestateshow.com.
Yeah, or apply with Mike. Awesome mortgage professional. I encourage you to reach out to Mike and his team, applywithmike.com. Thanks again for joining us, everybody. Sending out some love and prayers for the world. It's a tough time right now with all the wars and everything going on, but hope everybody, again, just sending out lots of well wishes here. Appreciate you joining us. Thanks again. Take care. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. It's been a fun show. We'll be back next weekend. Last quick thought, Mike. What are your thoughts on having a home you have listed pre-inspected?
Pre-inspected. I think there could be good and bad about it, right? The good is obviously what any other home inspector would probably uncover, so you can address those issues, address those items right out of the gate if there are any that shows up. I suppose the bad could be if there is some sort of issue that pops up. Now you know about it. Now you have to disclose. Which maybe necessarily might not be a bad thing either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of like it personally. I think it's a way just to preemptively find issues, solve problems that may be coming up during the home inspection process. More common now. People are negotiating stuff. You can preemptively do that. I think you're one step ahead with your seller, especially if the home is maybe in an area or price range where you might need a little action, a little love to get it sold. It's a good move, a good play to try it. But really good question. Thanks for that one. Hey, it's time to sign off. Appreciate you joining us. So many of you, the entire show. We'll be back next weekend for the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Take care, everybody. Great job, bud.
Hey, thanks, Ryan.